The term military horse usually conjures up images of the cavalry. This is only part of the story. Artillery was the crown jewel of the mounted services, which also included dragoons and mounted rifles during the horse-drawn era. This military equestrian area was long-lived. The last U.S. artillery to give up their mounts only did so in 1943. My interest in preserving the skills of the mounted services led me to postillion driving of horse teams. I drive for two groups approximately 12 times a year, primarily in demonstrations for the National Park Service, but also in funerals. Artillery horses are technically not ridden. They are driven postillion, with 3 drivers controlling 6 horses. A driver rides on one horse while driving another horse alongside him. The 3 teams are called lead, swing, and wheel. The wheelers are only the brakes for the team. They take the strain of the halt through the leather brake strap upon their haunches. The wheel driver rides with the limber pole between the horses of his team. The pole will snap if the wheeler does not handle the team properly in the turns. Furthermore, the limber pole jars up and down over rough terrain, crashing against the driver's leg. A steel-reinforced leather leg guard protects the wheel driver from the violent effects of the limber pole. All the drivers must work the horses as a unit. If the wheeler stops too suddenly, the lead driver may be snapped out of the saddle. Conversely, if intervals are not properly maintained, the teams will cross traces and panic or trip, causing a wreck. Starts must be correctly timed so all the horses draw together at the same moment. Otherwise, they will be jerky and the horses will balk, taking excessive strain. In short, driving a six-up artillery team at high speed requires much more equestrian ability than riding. While driving is a very demanding art, it is thankfully not an entirely lost art, even now in the 21st century. Instructions for field artillery drivers for those hoping to enter this field. First thing to remember is don't fall off. No, really, it's not an option. This is driving, not riding. Fall off riding, you have a bruised butt. Come out of the saddle driving, and you will likely be run over by the following teams, not to mention your own limber in piece or caisson. Even more important than the likely grave injury or even death involved with a driver executing an unscheduled dismount is the fact that you will leave the rest of your team in a bit of a pickle. If you are lead, the team will not be able to steer without you. If you are wheel, your team will have lost its brakes. If you are ejected from the saddle and swing, a good team will probably overcome your absence and manage a fairly controlled emergency halt. Worst case is the swing team will try to pass the lead horses. If you survive your fall, then your problems really start, because your fellow drivers will let down will come after you. Remember that many ACW drivers were killed by their own teams. Driving is every bit as dangerous now as it was then, minus people shooting at you and death from disease. Enough said on rule number 1, but keep in mind, coming out of the saddle just isn't an option. Rule number 2 is take care of your horses. We choose to take the risks and sweat our way through the events. The horses are along for the ride. Most of them will give us their best without fail. We owe them the highest standards of care we can deliver in the circumstances. Driving a team postillion, as is done in light artillery driving, is best equated to horse ballet, when everyone and everything is chained together. One misstep and the grace of the team's movements becomes a goat-roping, cat-herding mess. I would like to end with a eulogy for a fine wheel horse. To Clyde, in remembrance. We lost our Clyde this past weekend, a steady off-wheel artillery horse, faithful, tried, and true. The tear-stained faces of we artillerymen, a fitting tribute, sadly bidding a fond adieu. We battery mates revered him, a favorite to each and all, his calm strength and demeanor, his bright eyes and bushy mane. To pull or break, piece or caisson, he more than met the call. Our memories of his loyal service shall evermore remain. He fought his final battle on an emerald blue-glass field and fell at his off-wheel duty post, giving to the last his best. The Kentucky Rangers gently laid him on a ridge near Perryville. The captain said, "Goodbye, old friend. Rest, you met our every test." May his empty place by Edith on the battery picket line be reserved forever, as memorial to temper our remorse, for surely there's a heaven for beloved artillery equine, where old Clyde will graze forever, a truly faithful horse.